Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have a new video today. We're going to jump right in. It is regarding the SpaceX IPO, which is happening later this week. So wanted to read an interesting article, provide some insight, and then a few comments from the Wall Street Journal. University endowments are about to strike it big on the SpaceX IPO. Some schools have a tenth or more of their endowments in Elon Musk's rocket company. All right. So Elon Musk has been critical of U.S. universities. Right now, the feeling isn't mutual. SpaceX is among the most widely held investments across colleges and universities. Endowment executives say likely making the rocket company's coming IPO one of the greatest great windfalls for American endowments. Many schools' investments in SpaceX make up a low single digits percentage of their endowments. A handful of schools have outsized positions that make up a tenth or more of their endowments, unusual scenarios for institutions that typically aim to have well-diversified investment portfolios. When the company goes public in a few weeks, shortly before the June 30th end of many endowments' fiscal years, schools' positions in SpaceX will surge even more. The paper gains for some of the schools could climb into the billions. The University of North Carolina system, which serves 17 institutions, has roughly 10% of its endowment tied up in SpaceX, according to people familiar with the endowment. That is largely due to investing early with Peter Thiel's venture firm Founders Fund, one of the earliest backers of SpaceX. SpaceX makes up at least a mid-teens percentage of the endowment of Washington University in St. Louis, said a person familiar with the matter. The endowment, $13.4 billion as of June 30th, made a call to put money into SpaceX in 2018, investing alongside V Capital, but also has exposure through multiple managers who invested in SpaceX. Stanford has a sizable position in SpaceX as well, according to people familiar with the endowment. One person said it falls well short of 10%. Like UNC Management Company, the endowment for the UNC system, a key factor was its early investment in Founders Fund, which began investing in SpaceX in 2008. Stanford's endowment, which managed $47.7 billion at the end of June, also gained exposure through other managers, including venture firm Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, and Thrive Capital, and the hedge fund Darsana, the people said. Musk, who has degrees from the University of Pennsylvania, tweeted in 2024, "College is overrated." That post contained a short clip of him talking about his respect for people who work with their hands. "We need electricians, plumbers, and carpenters," he said. "That's a lot more important than having incremental political science majors, I think. I think we should not have this idea that to be successful you need to have a 4-year college. That is simply not true." SpaceX didn't respond to a request for comment for Musk. Universities' expected paper gains could shape their spending plans, but it remains to be seen which gains universities ultimately realize on their investments. Much of their endowments are legally restricted in terms of their use, meaning schools with big SpaceX investments, even if they eventually crystallize billions of dollars in gains, won't necessarily have discretion to spend the windfall as they wish. Some schools also could take a more conservative approach to valuation and intentionally undervalue their positions, given that pre-IPO investors are often restricted from selling their shares for a period after a company goes public. Several endowment chiefs said it is unlikely their peers ever intended for their SpaceX positions to become as large as they have. They attributed the position sizes to the company staying private for decades and its valuation soaring in recent years. As recently as December 2022, it was valued at $140 billion. It has transformed since its 2002 founding from a rocket launching company into an internet provider, social media platform, and most recently an AI company with plans for orbital data centers in space. Last week, the company said it plans to sell its shares for $135 a piece at a valuation of around 1.77 trillion. We obviously hope for every co-investment to get this large, Scott Wilson, Washington University's endowment chief, wrote in an email. But few businesses compound at this rate for such a long period of time. Under Wilson, Washington U has developed a reputation for making large, concentrated bets. Endowments help fund the operations of institutions which rely on steady distributions to pay for staff salaries, financial aid, and capital improvements. They typically don't hold on to big positions in a single company. And once SpaceX goes public, schools with larger positions will have to grapple with the volatility associated with public markets. Some investors characterize having too much SpaceX as an enviable though real problem. The endowment leadership and board of UNC management have been discussing whether and how to hedge the position once SpaceX is public, said one of the people familiar with the endowment. Another person said the board was aware and attentive to the size of its positions and the need for diversification throughout the portfolio. UNC management would have more of its endowments in SpaceX had it not sold shares in a secondary share sale toward the end of 2025, some of the people said. It managed roughly $15 billion as of the end of March. Washington U trimmed some of its position in the secondary market along the way to lock in some of its gains and plans to sell more of its position when it can. The person familiar with the endowment said. Bloomberg News earlier reported on some details of the school's SpaceX investment. While eye-popping gains will elude them, even schools that have less exposure can see big gains by more conventional measures. The University of Virginia began building a position in SpaceX in 2020 after looking through its manager's holdings and discovering it had almost no SpaceX, said people familiar with the matter. It built its position between 2020 and 2021 when SpaceX was valued around $74 billion, then $100 billion. SpaceX today makes up a low single-digit percentage of the endowment, which manages roughly $17 billion. Okay, so the reason we decided to look at this article, other than the fact that it's very timely and it seems that the IPO will be taking place in just a few days, perhaps as early as the 13th of June, maybe that might be incorrect, but maybe not. But the point is that whether it's here, the University of North Carolina system, UNC management, then over in St. Louis, Washington University in St. Louis, and then similarly, they're talking about Stanford over here. They mentioned University of Pennsylvania, but that's only in relation to Elon Musk. And then further in the article, they're talking about several other places, or well, at least they're interviewing Washington University Scott Wilson, who has developed a reputation for making large concentrated bets. And of course, yeah, down here at University of Virginia. So about 4 schools are mentioned talking about their strategy, their position, the values, when they joined, those sorts of things. And it was interesting to see right here when the UNC management has such a big problem, or a big problem to have, but technically a good problem to have, is that the paper valuation will go up for them, but maybe they have so much exposure that they also have to find ways to basically see that their position is not going through too many ups and downs, because it could be quite volatile, as mentioned in the article. But either way, the endowment system for schools or similar organizations are investing powerhouses, and this article does a good job of showing you the maturity, the maturation. Two of these universities had secondaries, so they basically had an increase in the valuation of what they had gotten at earlier stages, but before the IPO, meaning most recently, these last few years, they decided to sell a percent of their overall shares still in the private market before the IPO. And now this is talking about a post-IPO. So there still might be a lockup of the shares, but for a while, according to the terms of being part of this early batch of shareholders, but assuming that there's a lot of retail follow-on, the stock price may remain quite strong, and therefore these endowments are going to be looking at a very powerful increase in their value. And so some of these universities endowments have a fiscal year ending at the end of June every calendar year, so then they will be able to update. So within just a few weeks they'll be able to give a real-time update of what was the valuation of their overall endowment funds, given the fact that the IPO for SpaceX is taking place prior to the end of the fiscal year for some of these. So there'll be the ability to see how that has changed from year to year, the overall size of these endowments, okay? And then, of course, the percent of their portfolio. So for some schools, it's maybe less than 10%. Some schools, it's a little bit over 10%. But either way, it's really interesting stuff. So this today's article, very timely, but we just wanted to let people know that it's interesting if you enjoy learning about how companies mature, how companies go to market, how companies, because really if it said back in 2002, this has been a journey for SpaceX now for technically minimum 24 years, okay, to get to this point. So some of these universities maybe were involved very, very, very early on in those stages, maybe back sometime in the 2000s, not even the 2010s. So today, again, like almost every video on our YouTube channel is brought to you by the team at Crypto Deposit. We are focused on fixed income. There's a lot that we offer. So if you guys wanted to visit the website cryptodeposit.org, or alternatively check out the tutorial videos on the YouTube channel, we're focused on white label partnerships for family offices and B2Bs. So any questions, you can send them to info@cryptodeposit.org, or alternatively, feel free to reach out to anybody via the social media or similar, or even on the YouTube channel. We will get back to you in a very timely fashion. We're not asking you guys to subscribe to the channel or any of those vanity metrics. We're simply requesting that if you are familiar with people in banking, specifically fixed income, have them take a look at cryptodeposit.org and have them maybe reach out to us so they can learn more about how we believe we've built the most powerful tech stack as of 2026. And we would love to prove that to whoever may wish to do that due diligence. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day or evening or afternoon, and we will be delivering to you another video hopefully very soon, covering another exciting news topic or something related to digital assets or stable coins, or the things that we are really hyper focused on here at cryptodeposit.org and our several other companies and brands that we are debuting in the near future as well. So please stay tuned for all of that good stuff as well. Okay, guys, talk to you in the near future. Goodbye.